A moving story of redemption, love, passions, and new beginnings. He was a millionaire, blind and cold, until an unknown voice awakened memories of a forgotten love. As he touched her face, he murmured, "I loved you in the past." But she was hiding a secret capable of destroying everything. Watch this story until the end. You will be surprised by this story. If you like love stories, romance, subscribe to this channel, leave your comment. Every day we post videos like this, continuing. The eye. Silence had different textures in each room of the penthouse. Gael Senna learned this over the last 3 years, since darkness became his only companion. In the office, the silence was dense, heavy with the weight of the decisions he had to make, without ever seeing the faces of the people who depended on him again. In the living room, it was hollow, echoing the loneliness of a man who ran a Brazilian agribusiness empire but could not see beyond his own pain. It was 7 in the morning when he heard Maria's footsteps approaching. The secretary, who had been with him for 15 years, had developed a particular way of stepping on the marble, as if she wanted to announce her presence without scaring him. Before, when he could still see, he had thought it unnecessary. Now, he understood that it was pure politeness. "Good morning, Gael. Your mother called 3 times, she said, placing a cup of coffee on the table with her usual care. "Do you want me to call you back?" He shook his head, inhaling the familiar aroma of coffee wafting from his family's farm in Minas Gerais. 3 years ago, when the helicopter crashed in the Serra da Canastra, he lost much more than his vision. He lost his older brother, Rafael, who should have inherited everything. He lost the freedom of being only the second son, the one who could choose his own path. And he lost something more subtle but equally devastating, the ability to daydream. Because while he was asleep, he still dreamed. And all his dreams had the same protagonist, a woman with a soft voice who whispered words that he could never fully decipher. He always woke up just as she was about to reveal something important, leaving him with a feeling of incompleteness that haunted him throughout the day. "Maria, have you contacted that specialist services company?" "Yes, the director will come today at 2 o'clock to present the project. It's about art, isn't it? Are you sure you want to do this?" Gael smiled, but it was a smile without joy. After the accident, everyone around him seemed afraid that he would be interested in anything that resembled the visual world, as if art, beauty, and museums were forbidden territory for someone like him. But it was exactly the opposite. He wanted more than ever to understand art, to feel through other senses what he could no longer see. "I'm sure. And Maria, when she arrives, leave us alone." The meeting was scheduled for 2 o'clock, but she arrived 5 minutes late. Gael could tell by the change in air pressure when the office door opened, by the different sound of her footsteps on the marble. Feminine, determined steps, but with a lightness that suggested a certain natural elegance. "Mr. Senna, sorry for the delay. My name is Helena Duarte. I'm from Sentidos en Arte." Her voice struck him like lightning. It wasn't just the timbre, though it was remarkably melodious. It was something deeper, a vibration that felt familiar, as if his brain recognized a frequency it had picked up before. Gael felt his heart race, and for a moment he lost his composure. "Mr. Senna, are you okay?" "Yes, sorry, please sit down." He gestured vaguely toward the chairs, trying to compose himself. "Can you explain to me how your work works?" Helena settled into the armchair across from him, and Gael caught a subtle scent, jasmine with woody notes. Something about that scent instantly transported him to another place, another time. A cabin in the mountains, the smell of burning wood, low laughter in the early morning. "Our work is about translating visual experiences through other senses," she began, and there was something too controlled in her voice, as if she were trying hard to maintain a professional tone. "For museums, galleries, private exhibitions, we use detailed descriptions, tactile experiences when possible, and create a sensory narrative that allows the client to fully experience the art." "And you do this personally?" "It depends on the client and the project. In your case," she hesitated, and Gael picked up on the hesitation like a musician picks up on an off-key note. "In your case, yes. It would be a personalized, intensive job." Why did you hesitate? The question came out more direct than he intended. Helena was silent for a few seconds, and Gail could hear her breathing, slightly altered. I didn't hesitate. I was just thinking about the best way to structure the work. She was lying. Gail had developed a sixth sense for detecting lies since he lost his sight. People lied a lot to those who couldn't see them, as if blindness also brought deafness or stupidity. Tell me about yourself, Helena. How long have you been doing this? 3 years. I started when I came back from abroad. Where did you live? France. Paris. And why did you come back? Another silence. Longer this time. Family matters. Gail leaned forward slightly. Helena, can I ask a question that might seem strange? Of course. Have we met before? Her breathing stopped completely for a second. When it returned, it was ragged. No, Mr. Senna, I'm sure not. It was the second lie in less than 10 minutes. But this time there was something else in her voice. Fear. Very well, when can we begin? Tomorrow, if you want. There is an exhibition of contemporary sculptures at MASP that would be interesting to start with. Perfect. But, Helena. Yes? I'd like you to read something to me before we go to the museum. What would you like me to read? Gail stood up and walked to the bookshelf, counting his steps as he always did. 3rd shelf, 12th book from the left. His fingers found the familiar volume. This, he said, handing her the book. Page 47, just the first poem. Helena picked up the book, and he heard the sound of the pages being turned. When she found the right page, she paused. Ah, you sure it's a rather intense poem? I am sure. Her voice changed as she began to read. It became quieter, more intimate, as if she were whispering a secret. In the mountains where time stands still, where the air is thin as promises, your fingers trace maps on my skin, and I get lost in unknown territories. Gail felt the world stop. It wasn't just the voice reading the poem. It was the memory of the same voice years ago, reading the same words to him in a cabin lost in the mountains of Minas Gerais. He was 24 years old, recovering from knee surgery after a horse-riding accident. His family had rented a house in the Serra da Mantiqueira so he could get away from the pressures of business. And there she was, an 18-year-old girl who worked as a nursing assistant, hired to help him recover. Long brown hair, honey-colored eyes, an easy laugh, and a voice that made him forget everything that existed beyond those mountains. Go on, he whispered, almost voiceless. Your mouth is a safe haven for ships that do not know their destination, and when you kiss me, the world becomes too small to contain so much love. Her voice trembled on the last verse. Gail heard the book slam shut. I have to go, she said, standing up quickly. Helena, wait. No, I can't do this job. I'm sorry. Please don't go away. She stopped halfway to the door. Gail approached, guided by the sound of her agitated breathing. You are her, he said, more to himself than to her. You are the woman of my dreams. You're confusing things. I have to go. Your name was different. What did you call yourself back then? I don't know what you're talking about. Helena Maria, he said suddenly, and heard her gasp. Your name was Helena Maria Santos. You were 18 years old. You read to me every night on the porch of the cabin. You taught me to identify birdsong by the sound alone. Stop. You had a small mole on your neck, just below your left ear. Your hands shook whenever you touched me to check my bandages. And you laughed when I did impressions of my father complaining about the farmhands. Stop, please. Why did you leave without saying goodbye? Helena didn't answer. Gail heard her footsteps heading quickly towards the door. I'll be at MASP. Tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon, he shouted before she left. With or without you. The door slammed, and he was left alone in the thick silence of the office. But for the first time in 3 years, it wasn't an empty silence. It was full of possibility. That night Gail couldn't sleep. He stayed on the roof terrace, feeling the March breeze on his face, and thinking about the girl who took care of him for an entire summer 15 years ago. Helena Maria Santos, the daughter of a humble family from Pouso Alegre who worked to help pay for her nursing studies. They met one morning in December when she arrived with the head nurse to assess his post-operative care. Gail was grumpy, angry at being sidelined from the family business, angry at his own vulnerability. But when Helena smiled at him and said, "Good morning, Mr. Gale. I'm here to help you get better soon," something changed. She didn't treat him like a spoiled heir. She wasn't afraid to argue when he complained about his physical therapy exercises. She laughed at his jokes, but she also didn't hesitate to put him in his place when he acted like a brat. And every night after his medical care, she would sit on the porch with a book and read to him. Poetry mainly. Drummond, Vinicius de Moraes, Cecilia, Mireles. But also short stories, chronicles, even recipes when there was nothing else to read. Her voice transformed any text into music. What began as friendship turned into something deeper during the long afternoons of January. Conversations about dreams, fears, plans for the future. Slow walks around the property when he could walk without pain. Hands that touched by chance and remained together a little longer than necessary. The first time he kissed her was on a rainy afternoon when she was trying to teach him how to play checkers. He lost his concentration while looking at her mouth explaining the rules, leaned in and kissed her. She kissed him back, and the game was forgotten forever. For 3 weeks, they lived an intense and secret love. Secret because everyone knew that it was impossible. He was the second son of one of the richest families in the country. She was a poor girl from the countryside. When the treatment was over, he would return to São Paulo to university, to the world that was his by birthright, and she would return to her life, to her studies, to a future that did not include romantic fantasies. But in the heart of that, summer, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the taste of her kisses, the way she fit in his arms, the whispered promises in the dark that they would find a way to be together. Then, one morning in February, she simply didn't show up. The head nurse said Helena had a family emergency and had to travel. She didn't leave a message, didn't say goodbye, didn't explain anything. Gael waited 2 weeks, but she never came back. When he returned to São Paulo, he tried to find her. He hired investigators, sent people to Pouso Alegre, and offered money for any information. But it was as if Helena Maria Santos had disappeared from the face of the earth. Over time, the wound healed, as all wounds do. He finished college, took on responsibilities in the family business, dated other women, built a life for himself, but there was always an emptiness, a feeling of incompleteness, as if a fundamental part of himself had been lost in those mountains. And then came the crash. The helicopter crashing, Raphael dying, the eternal darkness. And with the darkness, the dreams, always the same dreams with the same voice whispering words he couldn't fully understand. Until today. Until Helena Duarte appeared in his office with the same voice, the same perfume, the same way of breathing when she was nervous. Gael knew she would lie again if he confronted her directly. There was too much fear in her voice, too many secrets in her silences, but he also knew she would show up at Masby the next day, because, despite all the fear, she also recognized in him the man she had loved 15 years ago, and this time he wouldn't let her get away without explanation. Masp was less busy than usual on a Tuesday afternoon. Gael arrived promptly at 2 o'clock, accompanied only by Miguel, his driver and security guard, who dropped him off at the entrance and left discreetly. He knew the museum from his college days, when he could still see and could find his way around by the sounds and the familiar architecture. He was standing in front of the sculptures in the Bodies in Motion exhibition when he heard her footsteps approaching. This time she didn't try to be silent. "I thought you weren't coming," he said without turning around. "I also thought you wouldn't come. But it's here. I am here." Helena stood beside him, and Gael felt the warmth of her presence. She was close enough for him to smell the jasmine scent, but far enough away to make it clear that this was a professional meeting. "What would you like me to describe first?" she asked, and her voice was more controlled than it had been the day before. Before we begin, I would like to know your real name. My name is Helena Duarte. Your full name? A long pause. Helena Maria Duarte Santos. Is Duarte your married name? He was. Did you get divorced? I was widowed. Gail absorbed the information. I'm sorry. Thanks. How long has it been? 2 years. Is that why you came back from abroad? Partly. He turned to her. Helena, are we going to pretend we don't know each other, or are we going to talk about what's really going on here? I don't know what you're talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're the woman who took care of me in the Serra da Mantiqueira 15 years ago. You're the woman who disappeared without explanation. And you're the woman I've never been able to forget. Mr. Senna, my name is Gail, you know that. That was a long time ago. We were different people. We're not that different. Helena took a few steps back. Gail heard the sound of her heels on the museum floor. Do you want me to describe the sculptures or not? He sighed. Okay. We'll do it your way. For now. Helena began working, and Gail immediately understood why. She was so good at what she did. She didn't limit herself to technical descriptions. She created narratives telling stories about each piece, making him not only understand the form, but feel the emotion behind the art. This sculpture is called Surrender, she said, stopping before a piece in the center of the room. It's made of bronze, about 6 feet tall. It represents 2 bodies, one male and one female, intertwined in such a way that it's impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Can I touch it? Yes, but be careful. Helena guided his hands to the sculpture. His fingers first found the female face, then moved down her arms, her torso, until they found the point where the 2 bodies merged. What do you feel? She asked, and there was something different in her voice. Despair, he replied without hesitation, but also hope, like they're holding on to each other so they don't lose each other. Helena's hands covered his over the sculpture. That's exactly what the artist wanted to convey. They stayed like that for a few seconds, his hands exploring the bronze, hers guiding the movement. Gail felt Helena's temperature, the speed of her breathing, the tension in her muscles. Why did you leave? He asked softly, without taking his hands off the sculpture. Because I had to go. That's not an answer. That's the only answer I can give. Did you love me? Helena pulled her hands away abruptly. We can't talk about this here. So where can we talk? We can't talk about this anywhere. Why? Because it wouldn't make a difference. Gail stepped away from the sculpture and turned to her. It would make a difference to me. Gail, you don't understand. Then explain it to me. Make me understand. Helena was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was filled with a sadness he hadn't noticed before. You're in love with a memory, with a girl who existed 15 years ago. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person anymore either, but that doesn't change how I feel when I hear your voice. What you feel is nostalgia. No, he said firmly. What I feel is recognition. Like a part of me that was lost has finally come home. Helena didn't answer. Gail heard her start to walk away. Where are you going? I have to go. We're not done yet. We are finished. She was already a few meters away when he shouted, I will find you, Helena. This time I will not give up. Her footsteps stopped. She turned. He could feel the change in the direction of her voice. Leave the past alone, Gail, for the good of all of us. All of us? Who else is involved in this? But she was already gone, leaving only the echo of her footsteps and the scent of jasmine hanging in the air. Gail stood alone in the exhibition hall, surrounded by sculptures that spoke of love, loss, and encounters. For the first time since the accident, he felt truly alive. Not because he had regained his sight, but because he had regained hope. Helena Maria Duarte Santos was back in his life. And this time, he would discover all the secrets she carried, even if it meant facing truths he might prefer not to know. Helena drove through the streets of São Paulo in a state of controlled panic, her hands shaking on the steering wheel of her rented Civic. Every traffic light, every corner, every reflection in the rearview mirror made her check to see if she was being followed. Not by Gale, he couldn't drive, but by the ghosts of her own past that had resurfaced the moment she heard his voice in the office. She shouldn't have accepted that job. When she saw the name Gail Senna in the company's proposal, she should have immediately refused, made up any excuse. But a part of her, the part that could never completely forget the summer in Serra da Mantiqueira, wanted to see him again. She wanted to know how he was, if he still had the same smile, if he still made those terrible jokes that made her laugh. Of course, she had no idea that he had lost his sight. News about the accident had reached her in Paris, but in fragments through Brazilian websites that she consulted sporadically. She knew that he had been involved in a helicopter accident, that his brother had died, that he had taken over as president of the family company. But she did not know about his blindness. Seeing Gale like this, still handsome but marked by tragedy, still imposing but vulnerable, had awakened in her a mixture of feelings that she was not prepared to face. Pity, tenderness, guilt, and, above all, the love that had never really died, only dormant under layers of time and circumstances. Helena stopped the car in front of the small apartment she had rented in Vila Madalena, but she didn't get out. Right away. She stood there, her hands still on the steering wheel, reliving every second of their encounter at MASP, the way he had touched the sculpture, as if he were making love with his own hands. The intensity in his voice when he asked why she had left. The pain she heard when he said she was the woman he could never forget. She had never forgotten him either, but some truths were too heavy to share. The cell phone vibrated in the passenger seat. It was Carmen, the nanny. "Hi, Aunt Helena. Anna is asking if you're coming for dinner." "I'm just arriving now, Carmen. How is she?" "Fine. She did all her homework and is watching that cartoon you left. But she missed you today. Tell him I'm coming up." Helena hung up and finally got out of the car. She climbed the 3 flights of stairs to the apartment, trying to leave Gale and all the emotions he had stirred up on the ground floor along with the car. But when he opened the door and saw Anna running towards him, everything became more complicated. "Mommy, you took too long today." Anna was 8 years old, with curly brown hair and expressive dark eyes. She was a smart, affectionate, and curious girl who asked 1,000 questions a minute and had an impressive ability to perceive when Helena was worried. "Sorry, my love. Work took longer than expected." Helena hugged her daughter, inhaling, the scent of baby shampoo and feeling guilt tighten her chest. Anna didn't know who the father was. She only knew that Helena had married a man named Eduardo Duarte when she was little, that he had legally adopted her, and that he had died 2 years ago. It was a partial truth, but it was the only truth Helena could share. "Mom, are you sad?" "No." "Honey, just tired. Do you want me to give you a back massage? You taught me." Helena smiled, the first genuine smile of the day. "After dinner, okay?" Carmen, a 50-year-old woman who had been taking care of Anna since they arrived in Brazil, served dinner and said goodbye. Helena was left alone with her daughter, trying to concentrate on the stories from school, the drawings Anna was making, and the small wonders of everyday life for an 8-year-old child. But even as she listened to Anna talk about her new teacher and her science project on plants, part of her mind was in Gale's office, reliving the moment he had said her full name, Helena Maria Duarte Santos, as if the years had not passed, as if she were still the 18-year-old girl who had fallen madly in love with the heir to a fortune. After Anna fell asleep, Helena poured herself a glass of wine and sat on the apartment's small balcony. São Paulo stretched out below, an immensity of lights that contrasted drastically with the Paris where she had lived for the past 10 years. There, she was Helena Duarte, the widow of a diplomat, mother of a daughter, an independent woman who had rebuilt her life after a tragedy. Here she was once again Helena Maria Santos, the poor girl who dared to love beyond her social status. The phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?" "Helena, it's me." Giles' voice made her drop her wine glass. "How did you get my number?" "It wasn't difficult. Helena, we need to talk." We have nothing to talk about. We have 15 years of things to talk about. I already said that. You said I'm in love with a memory. Maybe I am. But you're running from a memory too. And that's no life for either of us. Helena closed her eyes, feeling tears threaten. Gail, you don't understand. You can't understand. Then explain it to me. I can't. Why not? Because some things are too complicated to be explained. Try. His voice was softer now, almost pleading. Helena felt her heart race. Where are you? She asked. In front of your building. Helena ran to the living room window and looked. Down, there was a black car parked on the corner, engine running. Are you following me? I'm trying to find you. They're different things. Gail, you can't just show up here like that. I have... What do you have? Helena stopped. She was about to say, I have a daughter, but the words wouldn't come out. I have a life. A life you're not a part of. I know you have a life. I just want to understand why our story ended without an explanation. Our story ended because it had to end. According to whom? Helena didn't answer. She couldn't answer. Come down here, Helena, please. No. Then I'll go up. No. The negative came out louder than she intended. Helena looked towards Anna's room, worried about waking her up. Why not? Gail asked, and there was a new awareness in his voice. What are you hiding up there? Nothing, I just don't want to relive the past. 15 minutes, Helena. Come down here and talk to me for 15 minutes. If after that you ask me to leave and never show up again, I promise I'll respect that. Helena looked out the window again. She could see his silhouette in the back seat of the car, and even from far away, even in the darkness, she recognized his posture, the way he tilted his head when he was thinking. 15 minutes, she said, and then you're out of here. I promise. Helena checked to see if Anna was sleeping soundly, tied her hair in a ponytail and went downstairs. She didn't bother getting ready. She wanted him to know that this wasn't a romantic date. Gail was leaning against the car when she reached the sidewalk. He was wearing jeans and a blue dress shirt, and he looked younger than he had in the office, less formal. Miguel, the driver, started to come over, but Gael gestured for him to stay in the car. Thanks for coming down, he said. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. They walked to a small square at the end of the street. Helena led him to a bench under a tree away from the streetlights. She didn't want anyone to see them, even if the chance of them being recognized was small. Speak, she said, sitting a safe distance away from him. Why did you leave? I already answered that question. No, you didn't answer. You evaded. Helena sighed. Because I knew it wouldn't work. How could you know if we didn't try? Because I knew the world you came from, and I knew it would never accept me. You didn't give me a chance to choose. Choose what? Between your family and a poor country girl? Between a life without you and a life with you? The simplicity of the answer disarmed her. Helena was silent for a few seconds. It wasn't that simple, she said finally. Why not? Because things happened that you don't know about. What things? Helena stood up abruptly. The 15 minutes are up. Helena, wait. But she was already walking back to the building. Gail followed her, counting his steps, trying not to trip on the uneven sidewalk. Helena, stop, please. She stopped but didn't turn around. What happened after you left, he asked. Nothing that matters now. It matters to me. Why? Because I spent 15 years wondering if I did something wrong, if I said something that hurt you, if you left because you didn't love me or because you loved me so much that you were afraid. Helena felt the tears come back. Gail. And because I need to know if there is any chance we can have a second chance. She turned then, and even in the dark he noticed the movement. It doesn't exist, she said. It can't exist. Why? Because I'm a different person now, because you're a different person now, because some things are impossible to rebuild. What if I say I don't want to rebuild? That I want to build something new? I would say you. Start being naive. What if I say I don't care? Helena didn't answer. Gail approached slowly until he was just a few steps away from her. "Helena, I know you still feel something for me. I heard it in your voice at the museum when you guided my hands through the sculpture. I felt it in the way you breathed when you read that poem. Feeling something doesn't mean we should act on it." "Why not?" "Because some people have more to lose than others." "What do you have to lose?" Helena opened her mouth to respond, but stopped herself. How could she explain that she had a daughter who didn't know who her real father was? How could she tell him that Anna had been conceived on their last night together, when they made love on the porch of the cabin, looking at the stars? How could she explain that she had discovered she was pregnant 2 weeks after leaving, when it was already too late to return? "I have a life here," she said finally, "responsibilities you cannot comprehend. Try to make me understand." "I can't." "Helena, if you're afraid my family won't accept you, those things have changed. I'm 39 years old, I run a company, I make my own decisions. It's not about your family." "So, what's it about?" It's about the fact that some doors, when they close, shouldn't be opened again." Gail was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was filled with sadness. "Did you love me?" The question caught her off guard. Helena felt a tear run down her face. "Yes," she whispered. "I loved you." "Past?" "Gail, do you still love me?" Helena couldn't answer. The answer was written in every fiber of her being, in every beat of her heart, in every tear she shed. But saying it out loud would be opening a door she had locked for 15 years. "I have to go up," she said. "Helena, answer the question." "Good evening, Gail." She started walking towards the building, but his voice stopped her. "I'll find out what you're hiding." Helena stopped without turning around. "It's not a threat," he continued. "It's a promise, because I know you're hurting as much as I am, and no one should have to carry that burden alone." Helena walked into the building without looking back, but she could feel his eyes on her until the elevator closed. When he arrived at the apartment, he went straight to the bedroom to check on Anna. The girl was sleeping soundly, one arm thrown over the pillow, her hair spread out. In the dark, with her face relaxed by sleep, she looked even more like Gail. She had the same strong features, the same jawline, the same way she frowned, even when she was asleep. Helena sat on the edge of the bed and watched her daughter for a few minutes. Anna was the most precious thing in her life, the only thing that truly mattered, and she would do anything to protect her, even if it meant continuing to lie to the girl's own father. Because there were things in Helena's life that Gail didn't know, and that perhaps it would have been better if he never knew, like the fact that she hadn't left Serra da Mantiqueira of her own free will. She had literally been taken from there by Marcelo Senna, Gail's father, on a February morning 15 years ago. Helena remembered that day perfectly. She was preparing breakfast in the cabin's kitchen when she heard the sound of cars arriving. She thought it was the medical team coming to do Gail's final assessment before he was released. But when she opened the door, she found Marcelo Senna on the porch, accompanied by 2 men in suits. "Mrs. Helena Santos." "Yes, sir." "I need to talk to you, in private." Gael was still asleep. Helena went out onto the balcony, closing the door. Behind her, "Mr. Senna, did something happen?" "It did happen. My son fell in love with you." Helena felt her face flush. "Sir, no need to deny it. I have eyes, and I have information." "Information?" Marcelo took an envelope from his jacket pocket. "Your complete file, Miss Santos. Family, financial history, background, all very interesting." Helena took the envelope with trembling hands. Inside were documents about her entire family, birth certificates, proof of income, even photographs. "Why did you do that?" "Because my son is an important man, who will be even more important in the future. And important men cannot afford to get involved with just anyone. I'm not just anyone. For me it is, and for the society my son will live in it is too." Helena felt anger rise in her chest. "What do you want?" "May you disappear from his life." "What if I don't want to?" Marcelo smiled, but it was a cold, calculated smile. Then I'm going to have to make your family's life very difficult. Your father works for the Pouso Alegre City Hall, right? A commissioned position. Your mother is a cleaner at the municipal hospital. Your younger brother is trying to get into federal university. It would be a shame if all these situations suddenly became complicated. Helena understood the threat immediately. You are blackmailing me. I'm offering an opportunity for everyone to win. What opportunity? Marcelo took a check out of his pocket. 50,000 reis for you to disappear today without saying goodbye, without leaving a trace, and another 50,000 in 6 months if you keep your distance from my son. Helena looked at the check, feeling nauseous. What if I tell him what you're doing? You can try, but I know my son. He will be torn between his love for you and his loyalty to his family, and that division will destroy him. Do you want that? Helena knew Marcelo was right. Gael loved his family above all else. If he knew his father had threatened Helena, he would be in constant conflict. And she loved him too much to put him in that situation. I need a few hours to decide. You have 1 hour. If you're not gone by 10 o'clock, I'll start making calls. Marcelo turned to leave, but Helena called him. Mr. Senna. Yes? Are you sure you're doing the right thing? I'm protecting my son. One day when you have children, you'll understand. After they left, Helena stood on the porch for a few minutes, trying to process what had happened. She looked at the room where Gael slept, imagining what it would be like to wake him up and tell him everything. But she couldn't, because deep down, she knew that Marcelo was right about one thing, that love would be more destructive than constructive. So she packed up her few things, left a letter explaining that she had a family emergency, and left. She took the check, but not out of greed. She took it because she would need it to start her life over again, far from Gael. 2 weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant. Helena was taken from her memories by the sound of Anna moving in bed. The girl opened her eyes, still sleepy. Mom, are you okay? I am, my love. Go back to sleep. Were you crying? Helena wiped away the tears she hadn't known were falling. No, dear. It was just the wind. Anna looked at her with that frightening awareness that children sometimes have. Mom, can I ask you a question? Of course. My real father, was he a good person? The question hit Helena like a punch in the stomach. Anna had never asked about her biological father before. Why are you asking this now? Because today, you seem sad, and I keep thinking if he were a good person, maybe you wouldn't be sad. Helena lay down, next to her daughter, and hugged her. He was a very good person, Anna, one of the best people I've ever met. Then why didn't he stay with us? Because sometimes life is too complicated, and good people can't stay together. Do you think I'll meet him one day? Helena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the question. I don't know, my love, maybe. I would like to meet him, to tell him that you are the best mother in the world. Helena held her daughter close to her chest, trying not to cry again. I love you, Anna. I love you too, Mom. When Anna went back to sleep, Helena went to her room and took a box from the back of the closet. Inside were some photos from the time she lived in Serra da Mantiqueira, letters that Gael had written to her during her treatment, and the only photo they had together. It had been taken by a nurse on a sunny afternoon, the two of them sitting on the porch of the cabin, he with his arm around her, both smiling. She stared at the photo for a long time, comparing Gael's face in the image with Anna's sleeping face. The resemblance was undeniable. Anyone who saw the two images side by side would immediately know that they were father and daughter. The phone rang again. Gael. Helena, I need to see you tomorrow. Gael, we already talked. No, we don't talk. We dance around the truth. Tomorrow I want you to tell me what really happened. I can't. Then I'll find out for myself. I've hired an investigator, Helena. By tomorrow night, I'll know everything about your life for the past 15 years. Helena felt panic return. You can't do this. I can and I will, unless you tell me the truth. Gael, you don't understand. Then make me understand. Meet me tomorrow at 8 o'clock at night at the restaurant of the Fasano Hotel, alone. and tell me everything. What if I don't go? Then you'll have to live with the consequences of what I discover on my own." He hung up, leaving Helena with the phone in her hand and her heart racing. She knew she had no choice. Gale was a determined man, and if he had said he would find out everything, he really would. The question was, would she have the courage to tell the whole truth, including the fact that Anna was his daughter? Helena looked once more at the photo of the two of them together, young and in love, without knowing that fate had prepared such a painful separation for them. Then she put everything back in the box and put it back in the closet. Tomorrow, she would have to make the hardest decision of her life: continue protecting the secrets that kept her safe, or risk everything for a second chance at love. And, for the first time in 15 years, she didn't know what her choice would be. Helena spent the whole day trying to find the courage to meet her that night. She took Anna to school in the morning, as usual, but this time she observed her daughter's every gesture with a different intensity. The way Anna held her hand, the way she smiled at her classmates, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about the science project. Would this be her last normal morning before everything changed forever? "Mom, you're acting weird today," Anna commented as they got out of the car in front of the school. "What do you mean, strange? You're looking at me like you're going to lose me." The girl's perception scared Helena. "Don't be silly. I'll pick you up at 5, okay?" "Okay, Mom." "Yes?" "I love you." The simple words hit Helena like a dagger. "I love you too, my love. More than anything in the world." Helena spent the morning in her apartment, unable to concentrate on anything. She tried to work on other projects for the company, but the words kept getting jumbled up on the computer screen. She tried to tidy up the house but gave up after reorganizing the same drawer 3 times. She tried to eat lunch, but the food wouldn't go down. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Hello? Mrs. Helena Duarte, this is Roberto Mendez, private investigator. I'm working for Mr. Gale Senna." Helena's blood ran cold. "What do you want?" "I would like to talk to you, ma'am. I have some information that might be of interest to you." "What kind of information?" "It would be better if we talked in person. Can you meet me now? There's a coffee shop around the corner from your building." Helena looked out the window and saw a middle-aged man sitting at a table outside the cafe talking on the phone. It was him. "I'll be down in 5 minutes." Helena picked up her bag and went downstairs, her heart beating wildly. Roberto Mendez was an ordinary man, with a calm appearance, but there was something in his eyes that made her alert. "Mrs. Duarte, thank you for agreeing to talk to me. What did you discover?" Roberto opened a folder and took out some photographs. The first was of Helena leaving the maternity hospital in Paris, with newborn Anna in her arms. The second was of her entering a French school with Anna, then 5 years old. The third, more recent, was of the two at Guarulhos Airport, arriving in Brazil. "Interesting information about your life in recent years," he said. "You married Eduardo Duarte in Paris in 2015. He died in a car accident in 2022. You returned to Brazil the same year with your 8-year-old daughter, Anna." Helena tried to keep her expression neutral. And there is an interesting discrepancy in the dates. Mrs. Duarte. Roberto took another photo from the folder. It was a birth certificate. Anna was born in November 2015, but you only married Eduardo Duarte in March 2015. And according to hospital records, Anna was conceived in February 2009. Helena felt the world spin. "What do you want?" "I want to understand why a child conceived in February 2009 was registered as the daughter of a man who only met the mother 6 years later." "Eduardo adopted her." "Yes, that's in the papers. But who is the girl's biological father?" Helena stood up abruptly. "That's none of your business." "Actually, it is, because my client hired me to find out why the woman he loved 15 years ago disappeared without explanation. And now I've discovered that she had a daughter 9 months after she disappeared." "You can't prove anything." Roberto smiled. "I don't need to prove it. I just need to tell my client what I found out and let him draw his own conclusions." As? How much do you want to forget this information? Roberto looked offended. Mrs. Duarte, I don't work like that. My client paid me to find out the truth, and that's what I'm going to give him. Please, Helena whispered, you don't understand. If he knows what? That he has a daughter. If he finds out, he'll want to be a part of her life, and that will destroy everything I've built to protect her. Protect her from what? Helena didn't answer. She couldn't explain that she had spent the last 15 years protecting Anna from Gail's world, from the pressures, the dangers, the spotlight that came with being the daughter of one of the richest men in Brazil. When are you going to tell him? I already told you. Helena felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. What? I called him an hour ago. He's on his way to your daughter's school now. Helena stood up so quickly that she knocked over the chair. He can't. Anna doesn't know who he is. Maybe it's time she knew. Helena ran to the car, her hands shaking so much that she could barely put the key in the ignition. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. School was 15 minutes away, but in São Paulo's traffic it could take twice as long. She drove like a madwoman, running yellow lights, honking at slower cars, making dangerous turns. The phone rang several times, but she didn't answer it. Nothing mattered except getting to school before Gail found Anna. When he arrived, he saw his car parked in front of the gate. Miguel was leaning against the vehicle, and Gail was sitting in the back seat, window open, listening to the sounds of the school. Helena stopped behind his car and got out, approaching slowly. Gail. He turned his head toward her. Helena. What are you doing here? Listening to my daughter play. The words were like a slap. Helena felt the tears coming. Gail, please. She's 8 years old, he said, his voice too controlled. She was born in November 2015. She was conceived in February 2009. Gail. The last night we spent together, on the porch of the cabin, looking at the stars. Helena couldn't answer. Tears were falling freely now. Why didn't you tell me? Because I couldn't. Couldn't or didn't want to. I couldn't. Gail got out of the car and approached her, guided by the sound of her voice. Explain. Your father threatened me. He said he would destroy my family if I didn't disappear from his life. My father died 5 years ago, Helena. I know. But when I found out I was pregnant, it was too late. You had taken over the business, you were in all the newspapers, you lived in a world where I didn't fit. That was my decision to make. It was also my decision to protect. Protect who? Me or you? To her, Helena shouted, pointing to the school. I wanted to protect her. Gail was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. Protect her from what? Of being Gail Senna's daughter. Of the spotlight, the pressure, the expectations, the dangers. Of growing up in a world where people would want something from her before they even knew her. And you thought it would be better for her to grow up without a father. I thought it would be better for her to grow up normally. Eduardo was a wonderful father to her. He loved her as if she were his biological daughter. But she wasn't his daughter. She was mine. Yes, Helena corrected. She's yours. They stood in silence, listening to the sounds of the school, the screams of children playing, the laughter, the voices of teachers. Somewhere inside was Anna, unaware that her life was about to change forever. What's she like? Gail asked. Helena smiled through her tears. She's amazing, smart, brave, funny. She asks 1,000 questions a minute and doesn't accept vague answers. She loves to draw, hates broccoli, and sleeps hugging a teddy bear that Eduardo gave her. Does it look like me? Very. He has your eyes, your chin, your stubbornness. Gail chuckled softly. And your heart. She inherited that from me. The school bell rang, indicating the end of classes. Helena felt the panic return. Gail, please. Not now, she's not ready. When will she be ready? I don't know, I need time to prepare her. Wasn't 15 years enough time? The criticism hurt, but Helena knew it was fair. Give me another week. Let me tell her my way. Gail considered. The proposal. A week, but after that I want to meet my daughter. He is well. And Helena? Yes? Tonight's meeting is still on. We have a lot more to talk about now. Helena nodded. She saw Anna leaving the school, looking for her with her eyes. When the girl saw her, she ran towards the car, her backpack swinging on her back. "Hi, Mom, why are you crying?" Helena quickly wiped away her tears. "I'm not crying, love, it's allergies." Anna looked at Gail, who was standing next to his car. "Who is that man?" Helena looked at Gail, who was obviously paying attention to the conversation. It's a friend of Mum's. Can't he see?" "No, dear, he lost his sight in an accident." Anna let go of Helena's hand and walked towards Gail. Helena tried to hold her back, but it was too late. "Hi," Anna said. "My name is Anna. What's yours?" Gail bent down to her level. "Hi, Anna, my name is Gail." "Are you really my mother's friend?" "Yes, I am, for a long time." "Do you want me to describe what I look like?" "My mother said that people who can't see like it when we describe things." Helena felt her heart stop. Gail smiled, and it was the most genuine smile she had seen from him since their reunion. "I would love for you to describe yourself to me." "I'm 8 years old. I have curly brown hair that my mum says looks like a lion's mane when I wake up in the morning. I have dark eyes, I'm tall for my age, and I'm missing my front teeth. She must be a very pretty girl." "My mother says so, but all mothers say that, right?" Gail laughed. "That's true, but I'm sure your mother is right." "Gail," Anna said, testing the name. "It's a pretty name. I knew someone with that." "Name once." "Really? Where?" "In a dream. I dreamed of a man named Gail who seemed very important and very sad. Are you sad?" The question caught Gail off guard. Helena saw him swallow hard. "Sometimes," he answered honestly, "but today I'm less sad." "Why?" "Because I met a very special girl named Anna." Anna smiled, satisfied with the answer. "Do you want to have dinner with us today? My mother makes a very good stroganoff." Helena quickly intervened. "Anna, Mr. Gail has commitments today." "That's true," Gail confirmed, "but maybe another day." "Promise?" Gail held out his hand, and Anna shook it. "I promise." "Come on, Anna," Helena said. "We have to go." Anna said goodbye to Gail and ran to the car. Before getting in, Gail called Helena. 8 o'clock at night, Fasano. "I'll be there." On the way back home, Anna didn't stop talking about Gail. "He seems like a very good person, Mum, and he doesn't seem sad even though he says he gets sad sometimes. Where do you know him from?" "From work, dear." "Will he be our friend?" Helena looked in the rearview mirror at her daughter. "Why do you want him to be our friend?" "Because I liked him, and because you seemed happier when you were talking to him." Anna's perception was frightening at times. "Anna, can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Do you miss having a father?" Anna thought for a moment. "Sometimes, especially when I see my friends with their parents. But you're both a mum and a dad, so I don't miss it that much." "What if I told you your real father is alive?" "My real father? Isn't he Daddy Eduardo?" "Daddy Eduardo adopted you when you were little, remember? He loved you as if you were his daughter, but he wasn't your biological father." "Ah, yes, I remember you explaining that to me." Anna was quiet for a few seconds. "My real father? Does he know I exist?" "I didn't know, but now I know." "Does he want to meet me?" "He wants." "And you want me to meet him?" Helena stopped at a red light and turned to look at her daughter. "I want you to be happy, Anna. If meeting your father will make you happy, then yes. What if it doesn't make me happy?" "Then we'll find a way to solve it." Anna nodded, satisfied with the answer. "Okay, but can I meet him when I feel ready?" "Of course you can." "And will you be together? Always?" That night, Helena left Anna with Carmen and got ready for her date with Gail. She chose a simple black dress, tied her hair in a low bun, and wore only light makeup. She didn't want to look like she was trying to impress him. The restaurant at the Fasano Hotel was less busy on a Tuesday night. Gail was already there when she arrived, sitting at a private table in the corner, away from the other diners. He was wearing a dark suit and looked more composed than he had during their meeting at school. "Hi," she said, sitting down in the chair across from him. "Hi, thanks for coming." The waiter approached, but Gail waved him away. They sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the conversation they needed to have hanging between them. "She's beautiful," Gail finally said. And smart. Very. And it has its personality." Helena smiled. "You figured that out in 5 minutes of conversation?" "I noticed the way she approached me without fear, without prejudice, the way she asked direct questions, the way she cared about my feelings. She's always been like this, ever since she was little. Helena, I need to know everything, from the moment you found out you were pregnant until today." Helena sighed. "It's a long story." "We have time," Helena began, "to tell the story." She spoke about her despair when she discovered she was pregnant, 2 weeks after leaving Serra da Mantiqueira, about the impossibility of getting in touch with Gael, who had already taken on enormous responsibilities at the company, about her decision to go to France, where a cousin lived, to have the baby away from the Brazilian spotlight. She told of her difficult early years in Paris, working as a freelance translator while caring for Ana alone. She also told of her meeting with Eduardo Duarte, a widowed Brazilian diplomat who fell in love with both her and Ana, and who offered stability and protection. Did he know that Ana wasn't his daughter? I knew. I told him early on in our relationship. He said it didn't matter, that he would love Ana as if she were his own daughter. And did you love? Absolutely. Ana adored him. She called him Daddy, and he melted every time. How did he die? Car accident. I was returning from a meeting at the embassy on a rainy night. The car skidded on a curve. Gael was silent, processing the information. Why did you come back to Brazil? Because Ana started asking questions about her origins. She wanted to get to know the country where she was born, learn Portuguese better, get to know Brazilian culture, and I knew that one day I would have to tell her the truth about her biological father. And you were preparing for this? I was trying, but I didn't imagine it would happen like this. Gael leaned forward. Helena, I need you to understand something. I don't want to take Ana away from you. I don't want to change the life you've built. I just want to be a part of it. As? I don't know yet. We need to find out together. Gael, the world you live inside is very different from ours. Ana grew up in a simple, normal way. She is not prepared for the pressure of being Gael Senna's daughter. So we'll protect her from that pressure. As? Being careful. Keeping things private. Introducing things gradually. Helena shook her head. You don't understand. It's not just about privacy. It's about expectations, about responsibilities, about a future she didn't choose. Helena, she is my daughter. I have rights, and I have duties. The duty to protect her. Protect her from me? Protect her from the consequences of being your daughter. Gael was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. Helena, I lost 15 years of my daughter's life. 15 years of her first words, first steps, first day of school, first tooth that fell out. I can't get that time back, but I can build a future with her. What if she doesn't want to? Then I will respect that, but she has the right to choose. Helena knew he was right. Ana had the right to know her father and decide what kind of relationship she wanted to have with him. Okay, she said finally, but in my own way, gradually. And if at any point I think this is hurting her, I'll stop everything. Combined. And Gael, yes, I want you to know that despite everything, you have always been important to me, and that if circumstances were different, would they be different now? The question caught her off guard. Helena looked at him, at the man she had loved 15 years ago, and who she discovered she had never really stopped loving. I don't know, she answered honestly. Want to find out? Gael, I'm not asking for an answer now. I'm asking for an opportunity to meet my daughter, to win you back, to build a family. A family? Helena repeated the word as if it were a foreign language. Why not? We loved each other. Once, we have an amazing daughter. We are grown people capable of making our own decisions. And your family, society, the press? My family will have to accept it. Society will have to adapt. And the press, well, we'll deal with that when the time comes. Helena felt something stirring inside her, something she had kept buried for 15 years. Hope. I need time, she said. How long? I don't know. Time to talk to Anna, to prepare her, to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Okay, but Helena? Yes? This time, don't disappear without warning. She smiled, the first genuine smile of the night. I'm not going to disappear. Promise? I promise? They got up to leave, and when they were at the restaurant door, Gail called her. Helen? Yes? Thanks. Why? For taking such good care of our daughter. The words, our daughter, made something melt inside her. For the first time in 15 years, Helena felt she was not alone. A week later, Helena was sitting in the living room with Anna, the two of them on a sofa, with a photo album between them. Anna, remember I said your real father wanted to meet you? I remember. Well, I brought some pictures to show you. Helena opened the album to the first page. It was a photo of the two of them on the cabin's porch, young and in love. This is your father, she said. Back when we met. Anna studied the photo carefully. He looked happy. It was. We were very happy. And this man, Anna said, pointing to Gail in the photo, is he the Gail I knew at school? Helena felt her heart stop. How do you know? The shape of his face, the way he smiled, and something I can't explain, but I recognized him. Helena looked at her daughter, impressed once again by her insight. Yes, she said, Gail is your father. Anna was silent for a few moments, looking at the photo. Is that why you were sad when you met him again? Partly. And that's why I liked him so much. Perhaps. Anna closed the album and turned to Helena. Mom, can I ask you a question? Of course. Do you still love him? The question was like a punch in the stomach. Helena looked at her daughter, at those dark eyes that were so similar to Gail's. Yes, she said finally. I still love him. And does he love you? I think so. So why don't you guys stay together? Because it's complicated, honey. Because of me? No, never because of you. You are the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me. Anna came closer and hugged Helena. Mom, I want to know my real father, and I want you to be happy. Are you sure? I do, but on one condition. Which? If things go wrong, it's still just the two of us, okay? Helena hugged her daughter to her chest. It'll always be the two of us, Anna, no matter what happens. The next day, Helena called Gail. She knows, she said as soon as he answered. How did she react? Well, very well, actually. She wants to get to know you for real. When? This afternoon, if you want. Let's go to Ibirapuera Park, a neutral place without pressure. Perfect, Helena. Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thanks for waiting. That afternoon, Helena and Anna arrived at the park first. They chose a spot near the lake, where there were benches and shade. Anna was visibly nervous, but also excited. Mom, what should I call you? Whatever you feel comfortable with. You can call him Gail, you can call him Dad, you can call him whatever you want. What if I don't know what to say? Then don't say anything. Let the conversation flow naturally. Gail arrived punctually, walking slowly with Miguel at his side, counting the steps to the agreed location. When he heard their voices, he dismissed the driver and approached alone. Hi, he said. Hi, Anna replied, more shy than Helena was used to seeing her. Can I sit with you? He can. Gail sat on the bench, leaving a respectful space between him and Anna. For a few minutes they remained in silence, listening to the sounds of the park. "Anna," Gail said finally, "your mother told me that you already knew who I was." "I knew it. I recognized you in the photo." "And what did you think?" Anna thought carefully before answering. "I thought you seemed like a good person, and I thought you and my mother seemed very happy together. We were very happy." "Why did you break up?" Gail looked towards Helena, who made an encouraging gesture. "Because sometimes life is complicated, and people who love each other can't be together at the right time." "But is now the right time?" "I hope so." Anna moved a little closer to him on the bench. "Can I touch your face? I want to know what you look like." Gail smiled. "Sure." Anna reached out her small hands and touched Gail's face delicately, mapping his features with the natural curiosity of a child. "You have a scar here," she said, touching a small mark near her left eye. "From the accident in which I lost my sight. Did it hurt a lot?" "It hurt, but it doesn't hurt anymore." "And here," she said, touching the wrinkles around her eyes. "Are they from smiling or from being sad?" "I think a little of both." Anna removed her hands and studied his face. "Do you look like me?" "Your mother says so." "Do you want to touch my face too, to see if I look like you?" Gail hesitated, too emotional to speak. Helena encouraged him with a touch on the arm. "I'd love to," he said finally. Anna stood in front of him, and Gail touched his daughter's face for the first time. He ran his fingers through her curly hair, along the contours of her face, over her small nose, over her mouth that smiled easily. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "Do I look like you?" "It looks like it, but it's much prettier." Anna laughed, and the sound of her laughter made Gail smile in a way Helena hadn't seen in 15 years. "Dad," Anna said, trying out the word. "Can I call you Dad?" Gail couldn't answer immediately. Tears were streaming down his face. "Of course you can," he said finally. "Dad, do you want to play with me? What would you like to do? Do you want me to describe the things in the park to you, like you described them to my mother at the museum?" Gail looked at Helena, surprised. "Did your mother tell you about the museum?" "She did. She said that you two met there, and that it was very special." "It was really special." Anna stood up and took Gail's hand. "Come, I'll show you the lake." They walked through the park, Anna describing everything with the creativity of an 8-year-old. The trees were green giants that touched the sky. The lake was a mirror that reflects the clouds, and the ducks were little ships sailing back and forth. Helena followed them at a respectful distance, watching the interaction between father and daughter. It was impossible not to notice how similar they were, not only physically, but in the way they walked, tilted their heads when they were thinking, asked curious questions about everything. After an hour in the park, they sat down on the bench again. Anna was visibly more comfortable, telling stories about school, her friends, and the drawings she liked to do. "Anna," Gail said, "can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "What did you think when you found out I was your father?" Anna thought carefully. "I was a little scared at first, but now I'm happy." "Why?" "Because I've always wanted a dad, and because you seem like a nice person. And because my mom is happier when you're around." Gail turned to Helena. "Is it true?" Helena felt her face blush. Anna was always very observant. "Mom," Anna said, "are you two going to date again?" "Anna," Helena protested. "What? You love each other, you have a daughter, you seem happy together. Why wouldn't you date?" Gail laughed. "She has a point." "You two are impossible," Helena said, but she was smiling. "So," Anna insisted, "are you going to date or not?" Gail extended his hand towards Helena. "Helena, do you want to date me?" The question was half joking, half serious. Helena looked at the outstretched hand, at Gail's hopeful face, at Anna's anxious expression. "Yes," she said, taking his hand. "I want to." Anna clapped her hands. "Yay, now we're a real family." Gail squeezed Helena's hand and pulled Anna close with his other arm. "Yes," he said, "we're a real family now." 3 months later, They were on the porch of the new house Gael had bought in Granja Viana, away from the city spotlight, but close enough for his professional responsibilities. It was a large but cozy house, with a garden where Anna could play and a library where Helena worked. Anna was drawing on the floor of the balcony, creating a work of art with colored chalk, while Helena read to Gael, as they did every afternoon. They weren't the same books as 15 years ago, but the intimacy was the same. "Daddy," Anna said, looking up from her drawing, "can I show you what I drew?" Gael smiled. Anna had started calling him Daddy 2 weeks ago, and he still got emotional every time. "Sure, dear." Anna took his hand and guided it over the drawing on the floor. "This is the three of us, you, me, and Mommy. We're in our new house in the garden. And what are we doing? We are being happy." Gael squeezed her small hand. "We really are." "Daddy?" "Yes?" "Don't you get sad anymore?" Gael thought about the question. There were moments of sadness, of course. The loss of his sight still hurt sometimes. The responsibilities still weighed heavily. The world could still be cruel and complicated. But there was something different now, a completeness he hadn't felt in 15 years. "I still get sad. Sometimes," he answered honestly, "but now I'm happier than I am sad." "Why?" "Because I have both of you." Anna smiled and went back to her drawing. Helena approached Gael and kissed his forehead. "And me," she whispered. "I'm still glad to have you back. Even with all the complications?" "Especially with all the complications." They sat in silence, listening to Anna hum as she drew, feeling the afternoon breeze, enjoying the peace of a family finally reunited. "Helena," Gael said after a while. "Yes? Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you for not giving up on us. I will never give up again. Promise?" "I promise." And this time, they knew it was a promise they could keep, because some love stories are stronger than time, deeper than circumstances, and more powerful than any obstacle the world can put in their way. Helena and Gael had lost 15 years, but they had the rest of their lives to make up for lost time. And with Anna running among them, laughing and filling the house with joy, they knew that the future that awaited them would be even more beautiful than the past they had left behind. Because now they were more than two adults who had met again. They were a family, and nothing in the world could separate them again.